Okay. First of all, been working on an experiment with some new toothpaste. It actually whitens the teeth. You know my teeth from tetracycline and the chemotherapy grade my teeth. See, my teeth are getting white again. And all I'm doing is using a tablespoon of vinegar, a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, and a teaspoon of caramel clay. Mix that together in a little 1 ounce jar, and I use that for about a week.
Say it again.
1 tablespoon of coconut cream, 1 teaspoon of vinegar, raw apple cider vinegar, and 1 teaspoon of clay, the caramel clay. Mix that together, and it takes about a week if you brush your teeth every day to use up that 1 ounce. And it's good to make it every week because the vinegar mixed with the clay will reduce its effectiveness. And that's what's causing the teeth to become whitened, is the vinegar. But you can't put straight vinegar on because it demineralizes the system. It also stops gum bleeding. Has a lot of advantages. So it's working well in the last year on my guinea pigs.
Coconut oil.
Human guinea pig.
Yeah, right.
Coconut cream.
Pardon?
Cream.
Yes.
You mentioned vinegar. Is it white vinegar with apple cider?
No, it's raw apple cider vinegar.
Oh, okay, that's it. Okay.
Just raw apple cider vinegar, a teaspoon of clay, tablespoon of coconut cream. It's nice when cars aren't coming fast, isn't it? Right. Okay, so that's the newest thing I've been working on that I can tell you results. So we're going to go start now and with questions and answers. Start with you, Keith, and let's thank Keith, our host. Do you have a question? Not yet?
No.
Okay.
I figured it out, buddy.
Right, that's good. Do you have a question?
He knows what he's talking about. Enough said. See you later.
Yes. Okay. Well, what do you do to regain energy, especially as you've just gotten off a detox? I'm talking about the fast. Is there any quick way to regain strength and vitality?
I'm going to repeat the questions. He asked. He's just come off of the detox, the losing of the weight. The point of that is you gain weight, absorbs the toxins, and then you dump the weight with the toxins with the weight, the fat that's absorbed those toxins. So he's just come off of a weight reduction. You've lost about, 25 pounds, 20 pounds?
I would say I lost about 20.
About 20. He took off about 20 pounds. So he wants to know how he can get the energy back quicker. If you want quick energy, things that don't take a lot of time in digestion, eggs is the only thing. Eggs. They digest in about 27 minutes, 13 to 27 minutes. So all that protein, all that fat is readily available. It only takes about 3 to 5 inches of the small intestine to absorb that. So quick energy. If I'm getting a little sleepy or tired, I'll take just an egg and suck it down, and within 10, 15 minutes, my mind is clear again. Gives a lot of energy. Anytime you come off of a weight loss reduction, a weight loss program, you're going to have a little trouble digesting because you're not used to digesting the complex foods, especially meat. Meat takes 19 to 22 hours to digest, even 24 hours to digest. So that's a little long. Milk relaxes the body, so that's not going to give you much energy. So eating eggs, a lot of eggs will help propel it. But remember, eating eggs alone causes massive weight loss. So you're going to have maybe a tablespoon of lubrication formula with a little bit of cheese to give you minerals. 10 minutes later, an egg. And you do that every 45 minutes, you'll keep your energy level up, and then have a big meat meal at night. Now, the weight loss program in the book says little golf ball sizes of meat throughout the day. to lose the weight slowly, gradually. If you're very large, which nobody here is, who?
John Reed.
John Reed's is not very large.
He's
Perfect. No, very big, fat. Nobody's too fat here. You can eat eggs to lose weight quickly, lots of eggs, without doing the meat. But you'll always reduce the size of your liver and everything and your pancreas if you don't eat the meat and you're just eating eggs. So it's good to eat the small amounts of meat like I suggest in the weight loss program in the book. You have just a little bit of cheese, like a sugar cube size amount of cheese with a tablespoon of moisturizing lubrication formula. A lot of you know, or most of you know, that for men it's the lubrication formula. For women it's the moisturizing formula. It's the same thing.
Do you do that 7 days a week, what you just said?
It's a good idea. And then once you build up, like do a heavy meat meal in the evening, like at least half of a pound when you're getting back out of the weight loss program. Now some people, they don't have any trouble with an energy level once they go back to the regular diet. Some people do have trouble. So it's up to you and what your system. Just remember, this diet is always fluctuates as per your particular physiology. You have to adjust it according to what's happening in your body. And you do that by looking at the symptoms. You look in the We Want to Live book and see what symptoms you have, and you do the things that I suggest in there. So you alter your diet accordingly. The different fruits that you have according to your symptoms will change. Okay? Is that clear enough for you?
I think so.
Okay, good. Do you have a question?
Sure. Bone marrow, best ways to eat it and all the benefits of it, of bone marrow.
Okay. She has a question about bone marrow. How to eat it, what does it do? Bone marrow, besides sperm and ovum, is the only place where you can get non-specific stem cells. Stem cells that can become any kind of cell in your body. You have adult stem cells and everything else and all the meats that you get that are particular to that. Like you have stem cells in heart muscle. So if you eat heart, you'll get the stem cells that are particular for heart, and they'll help you generate your own heart muscles. Liver, everything else. But bone marrow has non-specific. They are shape-shifters. They can address and make any cell that's needed in the body. And it's good to eat it with meat.
Oh, it is.
To have an extra supply of protein there to be able to assimilate those stem cells and feed those stem cells so that they can reproduce and grow a little bit quicker. Okay?
Any kind of meat, chicken, fish, or...
Doesn't matter, any kind of meat. It could be fish, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where the bone marrow comes from. Well, it should be a healthy animal. It shouldn't be fed antibiotics or given injections.
It'll grow new bone in your body a lot quicker.
Yes, it will help bones grow quicker as well as anything else.
It doesn't necessarily have to be totally organic?
Well, it doesn't have to be totally organic, but it should not have any hormones or antibiotics. Well, what I do is I buy, 5 of them a week, and then I'll have one every day for 5 days with a meat meal.
If you eat bone marrow with a specific meat, like heart meat or liver, does that produce more liver stem cells, for example?
If you eat it with liver, it'll stimulate more liver cells.
Okay.
Did everybody get that? He asked, if you eat the bone marrow with liver, does it help reproduce more liver cells? Yes, it does. Whatever adult stem cells you have, when you have the bone marrow with whatever meat that is, it's going to help that particular part of your body. So if it's muscle you want, you can put on more muscle. And you don't necessarily have to work out if you've been on it as long as I have. Okay. Question. Oh,
You had the question.
you have another question. Okay.
No, that wasn't my question.
Go ahead.
Not that I don't want to do, like everything that you prescribe, like when you come and have your consultation. But is it true that the body is smart enough to, just when you start raising the levels of the fats, the raw fats and everything, that it will start detoxing on its own, just how it's supposed to naturally? Or do we always have to simulate it by eating certain things in certain orders and all of that? You know what I'm saying?
She asked a rather complex question. It's going to take a little bit of a complex answer. She asked, when you go on the diet and you're eating the fats, will you automatically detox without having to do the particulars that I address in the book for detoxing certain areas of the body? Yes, your body will always address what it feels is most important depending upon the fat that you're eating. If you eat butter and cream, you're going to do less detoxification and more building. If you're eating a pressed oil, avocado, you're going to detoxify more. If you have a particular problem and you're suffering from it, it may not be the worst problem you have in your body. So your body may ignore that and go to something that it feels more important. That is more important. If you want to get rid of the symptom, though, you're going to have to address that area with a specific food that I have mentioned in the remedy section of We Want to Live. Now, the cream stabilizes the nervous system. It's the only fat that will immediately address the nervous system. It helps calm it. Butter helps every part of your body, but not specifically the nervous system. There are several varieties of cholesterols, about 28 of them, that address the nervous system. And 90% of those 28, so about 26, can only be addressed through cream.
Say that last sentence again, please.
There are about 26 cholesterols that can only be made in its wholesome structure from raw cream. And having a little butter with it helps increase the ability to soothe and protect the brain.
But percentage-wise, how much less is one healing if you sort of eat what you feel like rather than following your strict thing every day?
I'm sorry, say that again?
I'm just wondering what percentage-wise, how much less healing is one doing if one's sort of eating what one feels like every day on the diet rather than doing your prescribed thing every day?
She asked a takeoff question on the question over here, was that if you just follow your instincts, and eat what you want to eat, how well is the healing? I found it's about 30 to 50% only. If you address my particular structure of eating cycles, like schedule eating 1 and 2 on page 40 and 41 of the recipe book, if you follow those, you will heal optimally and quickly. If you're just eating what you want when you want and not addressing the body's changes as it does on a normal time schedule of the day, it's much harder on the body to do what you want to do, taste-wise. So if you follow the specific suggestions for the dietary plans that I have in the recipe book, you'll heal a lot quicker, about 50% or more quicker. And you'll stay more focused and clear of mind. And in the workshop I gave everybody that people have attended, I lay out why you eat what at what particular time. If we have time, I'll go over that at the end. Okay? Do you have a question?
No.
Okay. Do you have a question?
Not right now.
Okay. Over there in the near the Morning Glories. Okay. Barbara, do you have a question?
Yes, I do have one question. My question is that you had identified these muscle crampings as lactic acid buildup in the muscles.
Lactic acid or uric acid or mineral crystals.
I'm sorry?
Could be three things. Lactic acid, uric acid crystals, or mineral crystals.
Mineral crystals.
Yeah.
Okay. I had mentioned that I was having some of that sometimes, usually after eating. Is that correct? It was after eating?
It can happen right after eating because your body robs the bloodstream of a lot of nutrients to go and start filtering through the digestive tract.
So, what's the formula for that?
Vinegar or whey.
Vinegar or whey?
She said she has muscle cramps after eating. Now she's on a specific diet because she's recovering from multiple cancers. So her body is a little bit more strained with toxicity. So when she eats, her food will leave the regular blood flow from the muscles and the rest of the body to go into the digestive tract to help her digest. When that happens, a lot of the uric acid metabolism that we have just from moving about, you have waste products, which is lactic and uric acids and mineral crystals. And if they settle in the muscle, they can cause cramping. To help relieve those, you can have raw apple cider vinegar or whey. And that'll help remove that. Sometimes, watermelon could do it with a high potassium. Pineapple can do it. But make sure you have enough fat with the fruits so you don't get too sugared. Because when you eat a lot of fruits, it causes the blood, the lymphatic, and the neurological system get sticky with advanced glycation end products. Your mind won't function as well. You'll lose clarity. You'll lose thoughts. You'll lose train of thoughts. Yes.
I live in a country that I don't have access to raw butter, cream, or milk. So,
Find somebody who will raise some cows or goats for you and take care of them.
it definitely will be organic and it will probably be very polluted. So I'm worried about doing that.
She's asking specific. She lives on an island in the Far East, so she's concerned that she can't get butter and cream or milk. Yeah, so you could make a big run to Paris, like every 3 months, and store up on butter. That's what a lot of my clients in London do, and in England. They'll go over to Paris and get 30 pounds of butter for 3 months.
Or sent from here. I have mine. I live in London. I have it sent from here, the butter. Yeah. You can find someone willing to send it on the go.
It isn't more expensive to fly from here than Paris to London?
I don't know, but I get various things sent, at the same time, yeah.
Paris has very good, because most of their butter and cream comes from the surrounding farms, way outside of Paris. Some of those farmers that I dealt with when I was living in Paris, they traveled 250 miles, to come to the farmers' markets in Paris. So it was very good there. And also they now supply the health food stores throughout Paris, so you can get that there. But they will ship it from here. I've got farmers that will ship. They ship to Aruba, Antigua, London.
Does the milk last?
No, the milk won't. The milk won't last. It'll be curdled by the time you get that. But at least the butter and cream. Yeah. But like I said, if you can make a connection in Paris, it'd be cheaper for them to send it from Paris than it would the States. And probably get there better.
Can I get the information from you about the people who deliver to Bermuda?
To Aruba. Yeah. That's way down there next to Venezuela. Yeah. Yeah, I have a product list, and you can go on Jim's website and get it.
I'll give you the card already.
Yes.
And pass it over to her.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have a question?
Yes. Frozen shoulder or bursitis, are they similar? Are they same? Do you have any?
A frozen shoulder and bursitis. Okay. A frozen shoulder is when minerals build up and circulation is blocked. Vinegar with vegetable juice is very good for removing that. For someone your size, you could use 1.5 teaspoons twice daily, morning, about 5 o'clock. And the best way to take that vinegar is to drink about 2 to 3 ounces of your vegetable juice, then mix your vinegar with just a small amount, like 1 to 2 ounces of the juice. Drink that, and then drink the rest of the juice. If you have bursitis are little bitty sacs of fluid that are very concentrated, like in hormones, like was that stuff they inject into athletes when they're damaged? Steroids, but the cortisone. High in cortisone. You know, the little bursas, they exist in almost all the major joints. When they get inflamed, they're extremely painful, excruciatingly painful. The best way to resolve bursitis is with the moisturizing lubrication formula. Spaced throughout the day, drinking a couple tablespoons every couple of hours with an egg, or with just by itself, even cheese or egg. But the frozen shoulders and mineral caking buildup can be from lactic uric acid, mineral crystals. Doesn't matter. You're just not cleaning out the joints.
Would it be the same, or is there a difference between like if you can't lift your arm?
If you have a bursitis, you're going to have an inflamed bursa, which is right here, and it will be in so much pain. They're different, completely different. One takes care of the buildup is vinegar, the bursa is lubrication formula, moisturizing lubrication formula. Okay? Do you have a question?
I get headaches in the back of my head. I haven't found any of your remedies seem to help much. I took Florinol for a long time. I still get that.
Well, I've been experimenting with other people who have the neck problems, that have brainstem headaches, and they've been taking, and it's worked, I would say, about 70% of the time. So you can try it, it might work for you. But these were people that weren't relieved with my headache formulas. So that's 70% more people are helped. And what you do is mix coconut cream, like 2 tablespoons of coconut cream with a teaspoon of vinegar. Mix that together and you rub that into your neck twice daily. And it starts breaking down the congestion that you have in the neck, the crystallizations that don't allow the proper circulation, because they'll harden. And then the blood will flow into the brain and the brain stem, but won't flow out. With that, when you're doing that twice a day, even 3 times a day, it relieves that flow, so the blood will flow out of the brain as well as in. So that helps.
Is it 2 teaspoons coconut cream to 1 part vinegar?
You have 2 tablespoons of coconut cream, 1 teaspoon of vinegar.
Is coconut cream same as coconut oil?
No. Coconut cream and coconut oil are 2 different things. Coconut oil only has your oil-soluble fats. Coconut cream has your water and fat-soluble vitamins and enzymes and fats. A big difference. It has vitamin A, it has vitamin D. Vitamin A is mainly water-soluble. You have oil-soluble fat, vitamin A, but most of your vitamin A is water-soluble. Like from carotene and carrot juice, mostly water. that vitamin A. So there are a lot of vitamins. You have B vitamins that are fat and water soluble, and you'll have a lot more of all of them in the coconut cream. In coconut oil is very specific.
So they're not substitutes, obviously?
Never.
Okay.
Never. To give you an example, coconut oil is a tan. I can put coconut oil and I'll turn black if I'm here in the sun. If I use coconut cream, because of the water-soluble nutrients and vitamins in there, it will be a sunblock. So I won't take in as much sun. Okay? All right, do you have a question?
What can help reduce the appearance of veins and capillaries on the legs?
Okay. She asked about the appearance of veins and capillaries, varicose veins, thrombosis. All of those are involved. And that's when you don't have a lot of live cells in those veins. Your body's starting to collect dead cells in the veins. And you may have blockages in your connective tissue. So the capillaries will come very close, go right into the very top layers of skin, which is not normal. So, and the veins will get to where the capillaries are to allow more blood circulation in there. Not normal, but that's what happens when you start clogging the venous tissue and the arterial tissue with dead cells. First of all, you have to clear the plaque that usually occurs on the vein and arterial walls. Vinegar is the only thing that does it quickly. A good raw diet with lots of raw fats will take it away gradually when it's eaten, like coconut cream and pineapple is a good cleanser of those veins. But if you're afraid of a heart attack or a brain aneurysm, people who have had strokes, the vinegar is the only way you're going to do it quickly. Once you have a lot of vinegar, though, you're going to demineralize the body. So you have to eat tons of cheese to make up for that loss, for that imbalance of minerals. And remember, cheese, raw cheese, unsalted cheese, eaten alone, eaten without honey, directly with the cheese, goes through the body, pulls out the toxicity, and moves out the bowels. You cannot digest it. I've done probably about 20-some tests, and I found that unless somebody eats honey directly with the cheese, you do not absorb the minerals. But when you do eat honey directly with the cheese, it's your best mineral supplement. All of those minerals are from dairy, and they are absorbed very readily and very quickly when you have a little bit of honey with the cheese. And it's a very little amount of very little amount of honey in ratio to the cheese. So it's 3 to 1, cheese to honey. It can even be less. It can be 6 to 1. So it's 1 tablespoon of cheese to 1 teaspoon of honey or less. It can be 1 tablespoon of cheese, a half a teaspoon of honey. It's better to err on the lower side of honey. If you eat too much honey with the cheese, it's going to become a fuel for energy rather than for rebuilding the bones and the rest of the body, stabilizing the nervous system. Okay? Do you have a question, sir?
Yeah, I noticed that a lot of people, will go on vegetarian diets and they will cure certain cancers and do okay. And then, of course, with your diet, they do the same thing, practically. Why did you choose to include meats?
Well, I explained it in the recipe book that when people go on vegetarian diets, it doesn't necessarily correct their cancer. According to Harbin B. Jones, 76% of all cancers in the 50s and 60s reversed on their own without changing a thing. It's like a cold or a flu. The body will go through a period of not being able to dissolve and discard dead cells. So they will collect in tumors in the body or as fibroids in the body. When that happens, the liver is usually shut down. The liver is going through a detox not making the proper cholesterols that the body uses to dissolve dead cells in the lymphatic system. So, but 76% of the time, according to Harbin B. Jones, who is head of medical physics and physiology at Berkeley for 40-some years, head of the oncology department. So he found that 76% of the time, cancer is reversed without changing a thing. It's like a cold. You'll go through it. Those people who change their diets will go through it faster. They'll end the cycle faster than those people who don't. And like I said in the recipe book, those people who try a diet, if more than 50% of the people don't recover on that diet is not a good diet. I say 50% now because we're a lot more toxic than we were in the 50s and 60s and 70s when Harbin B. Jones was doing his work. We have 30,000 more chemicals. We had 30,000 then, now we have about 60,000 minimum new chemicals. And a lot of that causes the body to break down, the liver to be damaged, and not being able to produce the fats, to form the fats that are like viruses to break down cells, dissolve them, and eliminate them through the skin or bowels or wherever we secrete and excrete. So this diet, I found that 98% of the people on this diet reverse their cancers. Can't beat that.
And that's because of the added fats and enzymes in the meat?
Correct. Okay, do you have a question?
Yeah, you've said a few times, don't gulp your milk, sip it. Why? Because I love gulping milk.
His question is, he likes to gulp his milk, and I say don't gulp milk. And he wants to know why, because he likes to gulp his milk.
And I do it. I sip it thinking Aajonus says, but every time I go, why though? You know, so now I get to ask you.
What happens when you gulp any fluid? The H2O rushes from the nutrients and goes to the kidneys. You throw it off. You don't get to absorb it. When you suckle like a baby, you get lots of extra enzymes in the mouth. Those go into the milk. It's easily digestible. It's even in the juices. They will be absorbed and distributed evenly and nicely. When you gulp, it rushes to the kidney. You lose a lot of nutrients that way. I stopped gulping no matter what. I just don't gulp anymore. I've cut my food down probably $60 a week just by doing that. Because I gain more weight now and I don't have to drink as much milk or eat as much.
Now, like sometimes I'm really, really thirsty, like I've been outside in the sun.
Then you take one of those baby bottles with you and you suck on it all day, like a sports person. You see tennis players out there be sucking on it all day. Don't go hours without drinking. Sip all the time.
Or, well, if you come back, as long as you sip it, like take a sip, let it go through slowly, then you can follow it by another sip. It's not the quantity, it's just the fact that it goes down slowly.
It goes down slowly and you give it enough time to assimilate. You know, so that takes time. Let's say you take a sip every minute. You can handle that.
Okay. But you don't want to
Most people just want to let they go too long. So it's good to sip every 15, 10 minutes.
But a sip every 15 seconds wouldn't be okay.
It wouldn't assimilate as well. So a lot of it's going to rush to the kidneys.
You want a minute in between sips?
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't drink your milk cold. If you drink your milk cold, it's going to shrink the stomach. It's going to contract the stomach. You won't secrete hydrochloric acid. The milk will move from the stomach into the duodenum undigested. The casein and lactate will get into your blood undigested, cause slight imbalances that could grow into large imbalances.
Same with goat milk?
Pardon?
Same thing with goat milk?
Same thing with goat's milk. Doesn't matter what kind of milk.
Okay.
You can, let's say you could drink 4 ounces at a time, and it's not enough to freeze the stomach if you're on a hot day like this. 2 ounces. You could do 2 ounces of cold milk, and it's not going to contract the stomach. Any 3 ounces, 4 ounces is going to contract. Unless you're a big guy like John over here, he could probably have a half a cup because his stomach's larger than mine. Probably twice the size.
10 times. Still growing.
Do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I've noticed you've changed your emphasis on various things. Before you used to be big on red meat, and then red meat with butter was your big thing. Now you seem to be saying
It depends upon
any
the
meat.
person.
Oh, now you're saying any meat is okay.
Any meat is okay depending upon what is right for your body.
Okay.
If you're anemic, you're going to need more red meat. However, if you're anemic and have a lot of activity rings in the eye, which means you produce a lot of hormones for physical activity, you should not eat much red meat because the red meat's going to give you more adrenaline, more testosterone, more estrogen for physical energy. If you do that and you don't exercise enough, you're going to be in anxiety. Anxiety is not exercising enough for the amount of hormones that you have in your body.
Right, we used to be big on lemon juice with the green juice. Now it's vinegar. Are these just sort of updates?
Well, no, that was just particular people that I gave the lemon juice with.
Okay.
If people had a lot of blockages and damage to their intestines and liver, I suggested lemon juice with their juice. But that was only those people. Sometimes if they had impacted intestines and very dark intestines from the irises, I had them have pineapple with their vegetable juice.
Right.
So it depended upon the person.
What's your latest on the skin? Because you used to be big on papaya, and then it was saliva and honey. What's your latest on the skin now?
Well, it depends. The papaya was to get rid of scar tissue and wrinkles. What works the best, I found, is sperm, and sperm works the best to get rid of wrinkles. For some reason, it works very quickly. It thins the skin. Bone marrow will do the same thing, but not as quickly. If you've got the fresh bone, probably never refrigerated, it would probably work just like sperm does.
And take away wrinkles?
Yeah. So, have fun with your boyfriend. Moisturizing formula works too, because it has the royal jelly in it. Oh, and that's another. Royal jelly also has stem cells. But it's frozen when it comes from China. Almost all royal jelly comes from China. So it's all frozen. Do not refreeze it. That damages the stem cells. Keep it in the refrigerator. A lot of people will tell you to freeze it. Once it's thawed, it will damage it. It won't work again. Pardon? It was all frozen. Yep, he gets that from China. John gets it from China. John Poto gets it from China, sells it to him. So it's already been frozen.
You said the moisturizing formula has royal jelly in it?
Yes.
Did you mean the skin formula? I didn't know.
Yeah, well, the skin formula. The
skin formula.
Primal facial body care cream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's what I meant to say. The primal facial body care cream.
So you're not doing
that took care of that, didn't it?
You're not doing saliva and honey on the skin anymore?
That works too, but sperm works the quickest. Royal jelly kind of stings the skin a little bit and can cause too much detoxification, too much abrasion. So you have to be very careful how you use royal jelly. Don't use it straight.
Can you mix it with bone marrow? Or?
You can mix it with bone marrow. You can mix it with some primal facial body care cream, more concentration that I called for in the recipe. Okay. Jim, do you have a question?
Yes. I got an EMF meter, and now I got EMFs. I mean, in other words,
You know that you have EMF.
That's right. There's about 4 different zones in our place that are completely off the dial. So.
No kidding. They're off the dial or on wood?
Well, no, I'm on the. I mean, everything else registers either on little dots or on the red line, but this should go all the way to the right on the red. So, my computer by my foot.
Oh, yes. Well, you got to get. I've been saying it for years that you've been asked, keep your computer monitor, keep your tower 3 feet away from your legs.
All right, I'll do that.
3 feet away from your body.
Things I can't avoid, like I have to operate the juicer, I have to operate the meat processor.
Yep, but you keep your body as far as away and just let your arms go in there.
Is there anything to these magnets or?
Well, in my car, I took a flat piece and I used alternating positive to negative in 3 concentric circles. And I sit on that, and it prevents the high EMF field from affecting me badly. So yes, you can, but it's not those little bitty things. They're not going to do diddly squat for you, except for right here. It may help you right there. But if you're talking about a major part of your body to protect it, you need a large magnetic shield to do that.
I see, and like for operating the juicer or something, if I'm sitting on a kitchen stool, then I'd have to have like a vest on or something.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. They make them. Econ, a lot of those companies make those magnetic vests, magnetic belts, different things you can use.
And then when I'm through with that particular thing, I just drop the belt and get on with it. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good question.
I do. For the last couple of weeks, just every time when I go to sleep, all of a sudden I start it's detoxing throughout my body, through my skin. Okay, and it keeps me up. I get my feet to begin with, you just scratch something and then it'll move to another foot. And it'll go all up and down the feet, arms, back. Nothing I could really locate was one thing, or sometimes it feels like bumps, like hives are coming up, and the next morning, and then just towards dawn, it'll die out, and I'll get to sleep. And then there's nothing there to tell you unless you tore yourself apart, scratching yourself. Right. You know.
What he asked was, he's got a condition where during the night he itches a lot. Things come out the skin. Remember that your skin is the main detoxification center for the whole body. If you were on an ideal diet, you wouldn't be putting out waste products. Everything that you have that you eliminate from the body, you could always recycle. It is supposed to be that non-toxic. You could eat your own waste and recover more of the nutrients. In India, because they're heavy vegetarians there, they drink their own urine to recycle their proteins. Your astronauts, what do you think they drink? They drink their urine. Goes through a filter and they drink their urine. That's how they get their water and fluids and nutrients, extra nutrients. So when you're on a healthy diet and you've been raised on a healthy diet, you will have very little waste. And any toxic waste that will come out comes out the skin. Not the bowels and not the urine, not the kidneys, not the bladder, not the urethra. Comes out the skin. So everybody's going to do their major amount of detoxification through the skin. A lot of health practitioners call the skin the major bowel, because the bowel, I don't want you to think that the bowel is a detoxification area specified by the body. It isn't. It is no more of a detoxifier than your tear ducts or your earwax or your mucous membranes. It is not supposed to be a dump zone of toxicity. Your skin is that area. So when you have a major amount of itching, usually it's a fungus that's coming out through the skin. Now, a lot of times, because of the vegetable oils that we consume, especially the hydrogenated vegetable oils, that have the same molecular structure as plastic, fungus, molds break those down, and they will crystallize, cause heavy dryness when coming through the skin. Best thing to do is put coconut cream on your skin. If you're blistering along with it, you put lime juice and then coconut cream with a tiny bit of honey in it. The ratio of honey to coconut cream is about 20 to 1. 20 coconut cream to 1 honey. Very small amount of honey. Just a drop per tablespoon. Okay?
I do. Okay, so then.
And he said this, when he wakes in the morning, it's all over. The nervous system mainly detoxifies at night. Starts as soon as the sun goes down, it's full on by midnight, and it's over by 5. So if you can't sleep at night, you're going through a heavy detox, don't try. You'll just be frustrated. Get up and do something constructive. If you're itching, put some lime juice or just coconut cream and honey on. And then do something. Read, do some work, do something. Even do something creative.
Write poetry.
Write poetry. Whatever it is. If you've got people who's, in the house, put earplugs in there so you can sing. Anything.
So now, so this happens periodically, right? So it's just something that I'm just going to have to ride with, or is there something that I can do?
You see these white scars that I have and all these bumps?
Uh-huh.
I go through them. A year and a half ago, I went through a major one, and I have all this little white scarring.
Kind of all over my arm.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they were coming out in huge. And there was, some of them even came out with large insects. Forgot the disease, Magellan's disease. A lot of people are getting that's from a lot of the chemtrails. And I used to sleep outdoors. I stopped sleeping outdoors because I noticed that when I stopped sleeping outdoors at night, I stopped having that much skin detox and stopped having that kind of bacterial detoxification. Now, because I was sleeping under it at night. Now I sleep inside, because our government is insane.
Yes, I am sleeping outside.
Yeah.
Not having it last year.
And you're going to continue collecting it as I did. You're going to detox indefinitely through your skin.
Right.
As long as they're dropping the chemtrails.
Right.
So you had insects coming out of your skin?
Pardon?
You had insects coming out of your skin?
Yeah.
Really?
What do
With
they
fibers.
look like?
With fibers. Pardon?
Fibers.
Yeah.
Is there a space that, because I can very easily move. I was just thinking, the chemtrails, I usually see them all around here.
Hawaii's the only place I haven't seen them.
They're there now.
They are now?
What is that? Somebody up there?
Hawaii's the only place I haven't seen any chemtrails.
Maybe Hawaii, yeah.
Everywhere else in the world, I found them.
What are
The whole
chemtrails?
world.
They're the government, the military is dumping its waste and experimenting on us biochemically. You'll see these streaks in the sky created by planes. They're not contrails. Contrails are vapor or moisture that gets frozen, and it dissolves within 5-10 minutes. These things hang around for 24 hours until it just falls on everybody on the planet. Those are chemtrails. They're doing it everywhere. No, doing it everywhere. Roger, do you have a question?
Yes. What about fasting? Is that a good idea?
Well, like I said in my book, fasting is a terrible thing. When you go 5 hours without eating, your red blood cells eat each other. They become cannibalistic. Pardon? 5 hours. So every hour after 5 hours that you don't eat something with protein in it, your body will eat 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of red blood cells. So if you sleep 8 hours without eating, you're consuming 3 to 4 red tablespoons of red blood cells. That means you awaken with anemia. That's about all you produce in a 24-hour period is 3 to 4 tablespoons of blood, red blood cells. So you're eating it up every night. So you need to wake up after 3 hours, 4 hours, or 5 hours, eat something with protein in it. I don't care if it's milk, egg, meat, whatever it is, and go back to sleep for 3, 4, 5 hours. So if you're fasting, those people who go 1 day, 24 hours, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, you do really something stupid and go 42 days like I did, it'll take you 2.5, 3 years to recover. When I did the 42-day fast, even though I drank my urine during there to recycle those proteins, it still took me 2.5 years to recover. When I did a 27-day fast of only water, it took me 5 years to recover. So you have to be very careful about fasting. It's not a good thing. You can eat small amounts if you want to, if you want to make sure the body's getting rid of enough toxicity. Don't do that in the winter. You need that fat to keep warm. You need to be stable. So if you're going to lose a lot of weight, you should do it in the summertime. Like I said, eggs are full of protein and fats, digest very rapidly. They can help you lose weight quickly, both water and fat weight. Don't take advantage of it, though. Don't get too thin. Okay? Do you have a question, Johnny?
Detox from the water. You said it took you 5 years. I mean, you didn't detox, you took a fast. How did you know it was from that particular fasting that it took 5 years? I mean, you had lots of stuff going on.
No, because the symptoms of the anemia that I developed, I already had blood and bone cancer, so it brought it back. So it took me, I can tell very well. I've been on a raw diet since 72. Right. Anemic, irritable. I slept a lot more. I couldn't digest well. It took me about 2 years to build my digestion up because my body was eating itself everywhere. Although even though I didn't lose as much on the 42-day fast because I was drinking my urine, every bit of it, plus just a little bit of water. So I didn't lose all the weight. I went down to about 118 pounds. But when I did the 27-day fast, I went down to 96 pounds.
So how come when I did the juice fasting in January for a week in England, I felt really good afterwards, and all the stiffness and aching went for the first time in years. Like I felt so much better, I could do more exercise. But then about 4 weeks later, I seemed to go into a massive detox. And since then, I haven't felt well at all. I've been feeling really ill ever since. But why the initial feeling extra good? And
when you fast, like juice feasting isn't really a fast. People will juice feast. There's a tiny bit of protein, but not much in juice. You can get about 2% of the protein out of it, so it's not much. So it's not starvation like with water, which completely leaches everything, causes lots of problems. Because water is a solvent. It's not a nutrient. It dissolves rock plants eat. We're not supposed to drink water. It leaches and tears the body apart. But if you drink juices, go on a juice feast for, let's say, 5 to 10 days, you will start cleaning things out of the body, but your body's going to eat itself to take care of that. And guess what? It's not going to eat the toxic shit. It's going to eat the healthier cells. So then when you stop that, you're going to feel good for 3, 4, 5, 7 weeks, and all of a sudden you're going to have all kinds of other problems. Because now you've got a concentration of toxic cells all over the body that you will have to detox that are loose because you've eaten around the good cells. Because the body isn't going to eat the toxic cells to get the proteins because they're too toxic. So we'll throw you into a heavier detox following it. Plus your anemia that you have following it. Okay. Kathy, do you have a question?
Yeah, well, first I just wanted to say that, I don't know if I can make a statement and then ask a question, or don't say it now.
This is about?
Oh, well, I was at the Echo Fest yesterday. I just wanted to say, everybody, that I represent the Right to Breathe Healthy Air, and we also do the Los Angeles Skywatch, and we were out there he's talking about the chemtrails and this HARP program, because by bringing it out more to people, we are trying to do is letter campaign writing to our Congress, and Congress and senators are all going to be served tomorrow, every one of them, about the Constitution, about they're not, representing the our Constitution. There's grievances, whatever you call it, petition of grievances that they're going to be served with. So there's going to be some kind of maybe major changes going to come from this. So hopefully we're going to, they need to not just, not represent us, not the lobbyists.
So if you want to help with the chemtrail stuff, anytime.
I got flyers if anybody wants them in my car. I didn't put them out because I don't know how anybody feels about it, or stickers. And we have a meetup. We're going to have more weekly or monthly weekly meetings, or whatever somebody can attend. Just getting the word out is what we're doing right now, and also writing letters to the Congress.
If you are interested in helping out with any of the chemtrail issues, give your email address to Kathy. You'll get notifications of anything that's happening. And we do need help on that. Okay. Now, do you have a question?
Yeah, the question arises that I also feel it in my bone, the pain, and also the side of my foot is like a cut, it's like cut in the side where blisters right here. And it's painful to step on it. And my mother with her callus, I want to know if coconut oil is the answer.
No. I don't see your mother's legs, but I see yours. You have a lot of...
curl like this.
You want to listen to me? For you, you need vinegar. You're caking up. You're clotted.
Caking up on my toe?
You're clotted in your veins, all in your legs. All over the body. You need some vinegar.
I better call you tomorrow because I don't understand what you mean.
Okay.
I'll call you tomorrow.
It's fine.
Okay.
All right.
How much I put on it.
Okay.
Well, it's just for the curled toes. Just coconut them up for her.
No, usually when you have curled, you're not getting enough protein. The tendons are buckling up. So she needs to eat meat. Eat raw meat.
She needs to eat raw meat, but I mean in the meantime, for the pain.
For the pain, a pain formula.
What?
Pain formula.
Oh, put it on the foot?
No, drink the pain formula. For that kind of pain, you could put coconut cream and vinegar on the feet to help dissolve some of the crystal. No, coconut cream. Just remember, oil smothers the skin.
Coconut cream and how much?
Pardon?
You said coconut cream and how much vinegar?
I said 1 2 tablespoons of coconut cream, 1 teaspoon of vinegar. Okay?
What do you mean by smothers the skin?
It doesn't allow it to breathe. If you put oil on your face thickly and go to sleep at night, you're not going to sleep well because your skin has to breathe. If you put honey on your face completely, you're going to block it from breathing. You're not going to sleep well. That is how you find out about how blocking oil and a complete layer of honey can be to the skin. Does not allow it to breathe.
Just one thing, is it also good for the callus on her foot? Same thing.
Callus, you put straight vinegar on.
So for the clogged veins on the legs, you would do it topically, not internally?
You do it topically and internally. You have the vinegar with your vegetable juice. If you get heart palpitations from that, you also have to mix an egg with that vinegar and vegetable juice. So you need the protein with it.
Can I just mention one thing? There's a lot of people call chemtrails a hoax, but Dennis Kucinich had introduced a bill a month after 9/11, which was the House 2997, but it never passed subcommittee. So figure how there's.
He was threatened. The NSA came and threatened him. That's what he told me when I talked to him in D.C. NSA threatened his life and his family, everybody's life. So that's why he got off the kick of the chemtrails.
NSA stands for
National Security Association. It's the head of it runs the military and the government. It's a shadow government.
Anybody speaking up against it, we're going to be at the NSA now.
Kathy, we can't talk about this. You're going to have to send out an email to those people who are interested. Okay? All right. Do you have a question?
Answered in regards to the itchiness.
Okay.
That's just the detox, right?
Okay.
Why would you get heart palpitations with the previous farming?
Sometimes the vegetable juice, especially with vinegar, will clean the heart out rapidly. And that causes rapid heartbeat because the body doesn't want to, it wants to speed up the blood so the toxin doesn't restore in the heart. See, the faster the blood flows through, the more it will pass through the digestive tract to dump toxins into it or out the skin. The slower it is, the more likely it is to dump into some gland or organ. He asked, why would you get heart palpitations from the vinegar or vegetable juice? Yeah. Or a combination, yeah. Do you have a question?
Just with sinus trouble, how long does it take to clear it up? Or does it get worse before it gets better?
It depends upon the individual and whether you've had a lot of medication. People who've had inhalers and cortisone, something like that, they'll take them 7 or 8 years if you're young enough, like you are. You know, otherwise it could take 12, 20 years if you're an older person. If you're an old geezer like me.
You haven't had much medication?
You haven't had much medication? Usually 2 years, 2.5 years.
What was the question that he asked?
He asked if you've had a history of sinus problems, how long on the diet does it take to relieve that? That doesn't mean after 2.5 years you're not going to go through occasional detoxification, because the brain dumps its major toxicity out the sinuses, the nose, and the salivary glands, the gums, and the tongue. So you're constantly going to be dumped, so you're going to have constant irritation to the sinuses, but it's not going to be necessarily from a pure mucus factor. Most people have allergies because they don't produce the proper kind of mucus to seal off the toxins from getting in and irritating the mucous membranes. Once you're on this diet, you provide, see, the mucus is in layers, it's like material. They'll be woven, the fibers are all woven into a mesh. The better the protein and fat level, the higher the protein concentration, the tighter the mesh gets. It's layer upon layer as your mucus gets thick enough. No particles can penetrate and irritate the mucous membranes, so there will be no allergies as long as it's thick. If something very toxic, like mercury, aluminum, or formaldehyde from vaccine has gone to the brain, and you're dumping that out the sinuses, it is going to irritate the sinuses as it passes through. The more mucus you have there to absorb it and to grab it, the less you will have irritation to the mucous membranes. But you're going to have some. And sometimes it's going to be nasty, even cause nosebleeds. There's a lot of fiction about milk causing a lot of mucus. Raw milk does not cause a lot of mucus. If you want to build a lot of mucus, you have to make milkshakes. Egg and milk together with some extra cream will make good mucus, a lot of mucus. And having a lot of mucus is important for the whole body. Those people who saw me drink this a minute ago, you saw I didn't hold it up and pour it. I sucked. I keep my lips together and my teeth together and I draw it through. I just wish I had a good healthy nipple and I wouldn't have to do it that way. My mother wouldn't dry at 2 weeks old. I was 2 weeks old, so I didn't get to suck much. I want to suck now. Pardon? I don't gulp juice either.
Okay.
Everything assimilates much better. I drink less. I piss less. I get dry. Don't get as dry as mouth. I used to have to put, cream, like coconut cream or butter or primal facial body care cream on my lips all day long. Since I started sucking, I rarely put it on my lips anymore. It's marvelous with the change, just in that little bitty technique. Do you have a question?
Yeah. For cognitive functions to improve them the most.
For what functions?
For cognitive functions. For focus and concentration.
Cognitive.
Yeah. Is fish really good? And if so, what type of fish is better than others?
Any kind of fish is fine. It's higher in minerals. Remember, the brain uses a lot of metallic minerals to relay light and conduct electricity. It's how the brain nervous system functions. So the mineral concentrations in fish are far greater than any other food, especially in oysters and clams and shellfish. So those are your preferable. Eggs are very important to cognitive function, not because of the mineral concentration, but because of the available, very tiny, easily digestible proteins from the egg white. Okay? Do you have a question? David, do you have a question?
Yes. I'm drinking a lot of curdled milk, pretty much exclusively milk that's curdled. It's yogurt, and sometimes it even turns to cottage cheese. I buy a lot of it past expiration from organic pastures. So, what kind of a substance, if I'm drinking so much yogurty milk and even cottage milk that's turned to cottage cheese, am I getting my daily cheese, or what is the substance changing significantly from the actual milk? And also, since it's organic pastures, is there anything wrong with organic pastures milk?
Well, I don't like that organic pastures put their stuff in plastic. That's what I don't like.
That's the only problem.
That's a big problem. He denies it, but he doesn't give a shit. He's out to make money. He stopped using the bottles because he could make more money by using plastic and not having to recycle it.
But that plastic, I looked on his website, he has some stuff about it. It's pretty high, and he thinks it's really the best plastic there is. You don't think so?
Let me tell you, he gets that information from the plastic companies, the guys who are selling it. When I've done tests on milk that have come from, not his milk, because it cost me about $2,000 per test. But when I did tests on milk, they came in raw milk, they came in plastic. There was always some plastic residues in there.
But are there better plastics and worse plastics?
Of course.
The stuff Amos is using is still the cheap stuff.
I get my stuff in glass. I buy his glass. I pay a lot of money for it, but I get it in glass.
Oh, you mean it's not good to transfer it from the plastic to the glass?
Yeah, you want to get it out of plastic as soon as possible.
Yeah, right. So only don't buy the plastic if you get the 2 quarts.
I prefer not having any plastic residues in my milk.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll buy that and transfer it.
Not that you may not. I haven't done any tests because it's such a small amount, but even a small amount can become accumulative. But it's so hard to test for those trace amounts in the feces to determine, yes, it came from the milk. Somebody would have to be on a pure milk diet from plastic for me to be able to determine how much is passed out. But then in other foods, it would be hard to, Kathy, it would be hard to evaluate on how much plastic does damage. But back to your first question, which is milk in its different forms always have different functions. Now, if I've been on this raw diet so long, I am so clean, I am like some cats. They will not eat anything fermented because it causes great imbalances. If I eat kefir for more than a day or 2 days a week, I swell up like a pig. My ankles and feet will just get puffy and huge. Too much alcohol in my body. I don't have as much toxic fat to have to break down anymore. In you still might be fine with it because you're not 100%er. You still eat cooked foods. And like Sally Fallon eating fermented foods, they are very helpful for breaking down toxic fats and other wastes. So as long as you're eating some cooked foods, the more fermented foods you have, the better you will be. if you're eating lots of cooked foods. If you're not eating any cooked foods, your ratio of fermentation should be minimal.
So the natural process of turning the yogurt inside the can, which I do nothing to it, inside the plastic bottle from Organic Pastures, yeah, it's a fermentation process nonetheless.
Yeah, but the fermentation process will pull more plastic out. So you better transfer your stuff into glass as soon as you get it.
What about the cream and butter in plastic?
Same thing. If it's room temperature, it will leach. If you freeze it, it's going to leach more. You freeze anything in plastic, the toxins escape from the plastic and get into whatever food it is. So when we
take it out immediately.
If you get butter in a plastic container refrigerated, it's not going to leach much. If you take it out of the refrigerator and leave it outside, you better put it in a glass.
It's hard, but you said you could wait up to 6 hours?
Yeah, as long as it doesn't get too hot. So it gets soft enough to put into a jar. It depends upon the heat of your house, temperature of your house. As soon as it gets soft enough to scoop it out and put it in a jar, that's when you do it, whether it's 2 hours or 6 hours.
Cottage cheese comes in plastic, sour cream comes in plastic.
Everything comes in plastic.
Good. That's what you should do.
And the plastic with the milk, they pour it out right away. That's not good though.
Well, you just remember that anytime they make plastic, they have a powder film in there that keeps it from sticking to the machinery. So that powdered toxicity is always in your milk. So what that does is it robs certain proteins and fats from that milk that you're not going to digest. So is it better to pay the extra amount of money?
I just know milk is the only one you're concerned that leads for.
Yes, the milk is very particular to that. Okay? Do you have a question? Oh, I already asked you a question over here. So we went around. Oh, do you have a question now?
Did you get one?
Everybody got one. Oh, no, John? Okay,
is he too small for you to see? I thought
well, he's hiding behind everything.
He's huge, right?
But look over here. I don't even see but its foot.
Shrinking.
I don't ask big questions.
Subject of hot tub lymph system detoxification. Why is it important to take a walk after?
In We Want to Live, I talk about lymphatic congestion and taking lymphatic baths. Lymphatic baths are taking an hour to an hour and a half bath at 101 to 103 degrees to melt down the lymph. You got lymph glands and lymph nodes. Most of your lymph glands are here, all around in here, here, and here. These are your main lymph gland networks. You have lymph glands all over in small amounts everywhere else, and a lot of little bitty lymph nodes all over. The body uses those to clean waste products out of the body. When we've been on a lot of margarine and vegetable oils in our lifetime, that hardens in the lymphatic system. So that hour to an hour and a half bath will melt just a little layer at a time. So it's like having a cold stick of butter in a glass, and little by little it melts as the heat works in. That's the way it does in the lymphatic system. You'd have the pineapple, the coconut cream, the little bit of butter, and a little bit of dairy cream with that pineapple and coconut cream mixture right before you get into the bath.
Is it important to have that every day? You do like 30-minute baths a day?
No, it's only for the long baths. Okay? You're jumping the gun. Let me get to those answers. All right. So, when that melts at that high a temperature, like an herbivore, an animal that eats vegetable oils, has a body temperature 101 to 105 degrees. It will keep vegetable oils thin and fluid. In the human body at 98.6 and lower, vegetable oils harden and crystallize. When it gets jammed in the lymphatic system like hard wax and crystals, it will not dissolve unless we raise the body temperature 101 to 103 degrees for an hour to an hour and a half. Any hotter than that, you're going to flake out and waste. Now, in the first print of my book, there was a typo. It said 110 instead of 101. So people were cooking. So it was years before I noticed that. It's like 7 years before somebody said something. And every time I read 101 degrees instead of 110.
So you've got to get a thermometer and actually measure the water?
Yeah, it's good. I use a regular thermometer, a mouth thermometer. Stick that in the water and test it. So when you get out of the bath after an hour to an hour and a half, it will be just a thin layer melted and flowing. So you get up and take a walk. You bundle up, stay hot. If it's hot like this, you still bundle like it's snowing outdoors, and you take a slow, easy 45-minute walk. So what that does is that rushes the pineapple coconut cream mixture into that lymphatic system, so that when you cool down, it will already have dissolved and prevent it from thickening again. So layer by layer, through many years, takes care of it. But just to give you an example of how it works, I had a patient who was 68 years old who was dying of prostate cancer and complete failure of the thyroid. Put him on the diet. He was on the diet for about 2 years, functioning normally, but still in retirement. I finally talked him into taking the hot bath, so he built a hot tub in his backyard in Bangkok. And he started taking the baths every day instead of 2 times a week. But because he was retired, he could sleep a lot and deal with that toxicity. If you're one need to function, you don't want to do it every day. You do it every 3 to 4 days only. So in 3 months of doing it every day, he completely became a new man. Everything was flowing properly. He started an international company, and now he's working 14, 16 hours a day, and 72 years old. 73 now. So, big difference.
That formula in your book?
The formula's in the book.
What's the name of it?
The lymphatic congestion formula. Lymphatic baths. Under lymphatic baths.
Does it take time to dry off after the bath before
Yes.
the walk?
You get out of the bath, you keep the room hot wherever you are, you pad yourself dry, take about 10 minutes because you're going to be dripping, and then put on long underwear and then heavy clothes on top of that so you perspire into the long underwear.
What if you don't take the walk?
Then you're just going to cool. You're just going to go back to where you were before.
So it's not going to actually get that layer out. Okay.
Just going to thin it and then that's it. It's harden again.
All right. So if you could do, like you did a guy in Bangkok example, you could do it every day if you wanted to.
If you have time to rest and recuperate.
Right. You just have to, more detox will turn on, or maybe not.
Well, he did a lot more detoxifying, so he did a lot of more, he was, after his walk, he did nothing but sleep for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then was up eating for several hours and then back to sleep again. So he was waking, eating, going to sleep, waking, eating, going to sleep for 3 months.
How about like riding the bike for,
Someday in my life.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Well, you still want to do something vigorous. You've already been in a hot bath. You don't want to exhaust yourself. It's supposed to be a mild, slow walk just to keep the circulation pushing. Not speeding, pushing.
Could be Tai Chi then, something like
You
that.
can do Tai Chi. Yeah, it's fine. As long as it's a constant movement, it'd be fine.
Well, if a person's used to like a higher level of exercise, how about if he just does shorter than 45 minutes? 15 minutes?
It's the amount of flow through. The lymph system is not the bloodstream. Rushing the bloodstream through isn't going to make the lymph go faster.
Okay.
The lymph has its own slow movement, no matter what you do.
Okay, so slow cardio for
Right.
half an hour.
The nervous system will flow faster, the blood will flow faster, but the lymph system never flows fast unless you're really hot. I can't hear you, Kathy. I can't hear you.
Do you do this on the weight loss?
I don't suggest you do these hot lymphatic baths on the weight loss. As long as you have the weight. If you have enough weight, you can do it.
Oh, but I'm on the weight loss.
That's probably okay. With the amount of weight that you have, it's probably fine.
Is it long johns? What do you put in to get those?
You have
I'll
to
put them on the
search.
website.
Thermal underwear. Target.
I don't suggest anybody do long hot baths unless you are at least 15 to 20 pounds overweight. Yes.
When I was on cooked food before I ever found this diet, I would be able to sit in a hot tub forever and like be fine.
But you
Now-
dried out like crazy.
I know. Well, I didn't know, but now I can't even do that. I don't
Yes.
because I don't have all that cooked fat in my body or food.
And you don't have enough weight.
Well, but I don't
You're
want
not fat
to
enough. I know you don't. I want you
No,
to.
not that.
No.
You don't see me in the winter. Yes, I always have more
you have
in the
more
winter.
weight. Yeah.
I don't want it in the summer.
Well, okay.
I want to be in a bathing suit.
That's fine. That's fine. Summer's time to be thinner. Okay. Well, I'm on a thin side. I'm only a 35 waist. I got 2 more inches to go to get up to 37. And I go down. When I'm in Asia and I go without a lot of milk, I go down to 30-inch waist. Wow. So I go really big. 6 to 7 inch movement in the waist.
How long are you
Good.
leaving your weight? How long are you holding the weight then?
Well, it comes off when it does.
Oh, so you're not doing a special 2-year
No.
on and off or 6 months or whatever?
What do you
Usually
drink?
it's a year cycle.
What do you drink when you're in Asia? You're not drinking milk.
I drink my sport formula, cucumber and tomato mixture, pureed. Sip a lot of that.
But roughly equal?
Yeah. And when you take those 2 lymphatic baths a week, on the other days, you need to take shorter baths, 35 to 40-minute baths. The reason for that is when you detox from the lymph glands into the connective tissue, you have to perspire that out of the connective tissue. If you don't, and it's very toxic, what will happen is you'll develop lupus or MS, multiple sclerosis. You better ask the dog for permission.
Not the first time he's been in the doghouse.
So the short baths help get rid of the toxicity that the lymph has dumped into the connective tissue between the muscles and the skin. So it's very important to get that out, because if you just do the long lymphatic baths, it keeps dumping it into the skin. If you're not a person who sweats easily, it's not leaving your skin, your connective tissue.
I sweat really easy.
Yeah.
So is that a situation for me?
If you're sweating, my mother said, horses sweat, are you a horse? Humans perspire. Women glisten.
The short.
Pardon? Yes, you may.
I got that one.
How do you get the difference between the long and short baths? I'm sorry.
The long baths is to get it to melt out of the lymphatic system. That causes the lymphatic system to dump the stuff into the connective tissue. The short baths allow your body to dump from the connective tissue out the skin.
You still have to
short
walk
baths?
after a short bath?
No, you don't have to walk after a short bath. And you don't drink that pineapple formula for a short bath.
Do they have to be 101 or it's like 95 degrees?
No, it has to. 95 degrees. Your body's hotter than 95 degrees.
So it has to be 101.
It's got to be at least 101. I don't let mine go 101.8. Mine is usually 102, 102.2. I've got a hot tub, so I can regulate it right at that temperature.
Do you need to be
be overweight for the short bouts as well?
Is your sports formula the same as the hydrating formula?
Well, there's too much tomato in the hydration formula to have too often because it'll cause sore tongue and other problems. So what I do is make it like a cup and a half of tomato, cup and a half of peeled cucumber. Always peel your cucumber. Get all the green out of it. And then cut about a half inch of the ends off. Get all the oxalic acid out of it. So it won't cause blistering, won't cause soreness. And then it'll be more enjoyable because when it's really bitter, it's not so enjoyable. So then my sport formula now for my tennis players and all athletes is a cup and a half of tomato, cup and a half of cucumber. Those are whole. You slice them up and put them into the jar with a tablespoon of vinegar, 1 to 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 3 tablespoons of honey, 3 tablespoons of coconut cream, 2 to 3 tablespoons of dairy cream. So that equals a quarter, about a liter. So you blend that all together and just suck on it throughout the day.
Is that not in your recipe book?
No, it's a little different in there, and I've come up with a better one for athletes. And it works better for everybody.
Can you eat your regular meals still, like on your regular meal?
Absolutely, yeah. Still on the same schedule, you just sit that in between. It's for anybody. I said it's for anybody. Listen, okay? 1.5 cups of tomato, 1.5 cups of cucumber, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 2 to 3 tablespoons of honey, 3 tablespoons of coconut cream, 2 to 3 tablespoons of dairy cream, 1 tablespoon of vinegar. And blend that all together.
Twice a week.
Do not use lime juice. Lime is an antibacterial. And if you keep putting that in your intestines, you're going to destroy your intestinal bacteria.
Aajonus, you said 1 tablespoon of vinegar?
Pardon?
1 tablespoon of vinegar?
What portion should I use
For the recipe for vascular congestion?
All you do is use if you're going to use that sport drink and have that tablespoon of vinegar, you don't need any more vinegar.
No, this is for the recipe for vascular indications on the legs.
For the exterior, I said it was 2 tablespoons of coconut cream, 1 teaspoon of vinegar.
Just rub it on?
Yeah. Rub it on. Rub it in. Gently. Yes.
Why am I doing this?
I can't hear you.
Why would I want to do this sport formula? What is it going to do to me?
It just makes it, if you get thirsty. Yeah.
One more question regarding the hot baths. If I do like a cold dip in the middle, is that screw up or is that fine?
If you do a cold dip in between and you stay in it for more than about a minute, you're going to chill too deeply. Then you're going to have to stay in the hot tub longer. So no more than a minute in the cold. If you like to stand in a cold shower for a minute, it's not going to chill you deep enough to cause a problem. You get right back into the hot tub. Or bath.
Okay.
Pardon? A minute is fine, yeah. Minute or less.
So all these saunas I've been doing
Yes.
are a waste of time?
Pardon?
All the saunas that I was brought up doing.
I'm sorry, Ken.
All the saunas and steam baths I've been doing in Austria, you've been brought up in that whole German thing.
Yeah.
Waste of time? Or damaging?
Well, no, what it does is it rushes the blood through, but unless you have the nutrients to help clean the plaque and the clots out, get everything, it's not going to do anything permanent. It's just going to be a temporary fix.
Can I show you my son? See what you think.
I think she had a question first.
Oh no, I just wanted to ask, how often can you have that sports drink?
Every day if you want.
Every day.
Yeah.
Are we just asking random questions now, or are we still on?
Well, we're just finishing up this sport drink thing, and then I'm going to decide. What time is it?
20 minutes to 5.
So we have 20 minutes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about why we eat what when. Okay? So you understand why we eat in patterns, how the body works in patterns. So if you stay on the schedule, you'll have a lot better results with your body, mentally and everything. So, when you wake in the morning, you've got an overacidic blood. That causes problems, a lot of problems. You don't digest properly. You don't balance your neurological system properly. Your brain won't function properly. I always suggest, because everybody's so toxic, we're living in a toxic environment, you have a piece of cheese sitting by your bedside. When you waken, you have that little piece of cheese, whether it's a sugar cube sized or 2 sugar cube sized amount. If you're a big guy like him, whole tablespoon. So you have that. 10 minutes later, you have your vegetable juice to alkalinize the bloodstream. Not to really make it alkaline. Your blood on this diet should be about 5.5 on the acidic side. Your urine should be 5.5. Your saliva should be 5.5. All of this la-la stuff from these new age healers are not looking at the body as if they were carnivores. They're looking at it as if it were cows or goats or horses. We are not an alkalinized animal. Everything should be acidic. But the blood goes to a 4-5, usually in the morning. So you need the vegetable juice to get digestion going and the blood more alkalinized to where it's at a 5.5 or a 5.
Do you need honey with the cheese?
Pardon?
Do you need honey with the cheese?
Do not eat honey with the cheese. If you want to absorb the poisons, you eat honey with the cheese. I suggest you only eat honey and cheese together twice in a day after the meat meal. But don't ask any more questions because I'm going to cover all of this stuff. Okay? So no questions until I finish the pattern. Okay? So you have the cheese to absorb the toxins. No honey with it. Then you have the juice, depending upon the size you are and the amount of fluid that you may need, and the particular juices that you may need. Now, nowadays I'm using a lot of cucumber puree in there instead of so much celery. Cucumber puree provides lots of collagen precursors, so the skin is better, everything is healthier. You can see how much better my skin is all over, and I don't exercise, So, especially in here, I started developing those old people's collagen there where they're not replacing collagen. And after doing this for just 4 months, it's all renewed. For just 4 months. Of course, I've been on a raw diet since 72. I react a lot quicker than most people. So, after you have the juice, you wait about 20, 30 minutes, have another little sugar cube size or more amount of cheese, absorb more toxins and dump from the stomach. Remember, most of the poisons that don't leave through the skin dump into the stomach lining. And then they dump as you eat, a little at a time. So it poisons your food. You're going to reabsorb some of that, and some of it's going to cause your food to pass right through you. What a waste of food. If you're going to waste something, let the cheese do it. Because it only takes a little amount of cheese to bind and attract and bind and chelate and remove a lot of toxicity from the system. So, after you have another cheese, if you have digestive problems, digestion's really slow, you eat an egg or two 10 minutes after the cheese. That'll get everything moving through quickly. Remember, there's hardly any digestion to eggs, and it moves everything quickly. When you get a lot of protein and fats into the body, it builds up the energy level quickly. You get stronger quickly. You have more energy quickly, like coffee does to you without the buzz. Yes?
Is that just the egg yolk?
No. Always the whole egg. That bullshit about the egg white and the egg yolk, forget all of that. Forget all of that. It's all wrong. It's all hypothesis. I eat 50 eggs a day. Do I look like I have a fucking biotin deficiency? No, I don't have a biotin deficiency, and I've got intestinal problems. I mean, stomach problems from the surgery. If anybody's going to have a biotin problem, if you're eating the egg and the yolk and the white together, I'm going to have it. I don't. I don't know anybody on my diet that eats a lot of eggs has any biotin deficiency. So Mercola and all those theorists, that happens in a test tube. It does not happen in the human body. So it's all bullshit. Okay? So, pardon?
That's right.
Good. You got it?
Amen.
Just remember, if you don't have the protein with the fat, you're not going to digest the fat. If you don't have the fat with the protein, you're not going to digest the protein. They've got to be together. When I did the experiments, and I said it in my books, when I did experiments on animals feeding them egg white and egg yolk separately, they were ravenous. They ate twice as much food. They had huge imbalances emotionally and everything. So separating the egg white and egg yolk will cause tremendous hunger, imbalances, overeating, obeseness, water retention, all kinds of problems. And you're worried about the vitamin B biotin. Absolute bullshit. Okay, you got it?
Yep, got it.
I don't have to mention that again. No. It's in my book. Okay, so if you need more going, then have another egg 10 minutes later, or 2. If you're digesting properly and everything's fine, you go from the juice 10 minutes later to a meat meal. If you have to go through the eggs, you go from the eggs to the meat meal.
How much time?
10 minutes after the cheese to have egg, 10 minutes again have egg, 10 minutes have meat. Or go from the juice 10 minutes later to have meat.
So you can have meat 10 minutes after the juice.
I mean, 10 minutes after the cheese. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
10 minutes after the cheese. So, you have that meat meal at that point because if you have a high carbohydrate meal, you're going to feed the nervous system a lot of carbohydrate glycogen. Carbohydrate glycogen is full of advanced glycation end products once that glycogen has been used by the nervous system. Columbia University found that the healthy body stores at a rate of 70%. That makes this lymphatic, the blood, and the neurological system very sticky. Synapses don't fire right. Ganglions get bunched up with their transmissions. Axons do too. So it causes a depletion of clarity of mind and consciousness. If you eat a protein meal, the body makes the glycogen from pyruvate with the help of glucagon. When you're using pyruvate to form glycogen, you only have a 7 to 8% amount of advanced glycation end products. We can handle 12% a day at a time. So we never build up with this stickiness, so the mind stays clear. Don't eat anything with high carbohydrate for the first 6 to 7 hours that you're awake. Because for the first 6 to 7 hours that you're awake, whatever you eat, your body will build the glycogen from those foods. So you save your fruit meal or high carbohydrate meals for the afternoon, somewhere between 1 and 3:30, 1:30 and 3:30. If you're a night person, it's the same way. You just make sure that the first 6 to 7 hours you don't eat a high carbohydrate.
Milk high in carbo?
Yes, milk is high in carbo. So only a little bit of that.
Or smoothies?
And when you have a milkshake, you've got egg in it. You've got lots of things to counterbalance the high sugar in the milk. Now you can sip milk a little at a time all morning, but you don't want to have a lot of it at one time, consistently.
Smoothie a high carb meal?
A smoothie is a high carb because you have fruit in the smoothie. Smoothie is a milkshake with fruit in it. Do not eat a smoothie in the morning unless I specifically give you a little fruit for your particular condition. If somebody's got multiple sclerosis, I'll give them in their milkshake about an inch to an inch and a half piece of banana with some coconut cream in there. That helps get rid of the scar tissue. And I need to start that early. But that little bit of banana is not going to be a problem. So you go then with the meat meal, you always eat butter with that meat meal. So you don't turn that pyruvate into a fuel to give you energy. That's just burning up that expensive meat. You want to reserve that for helping to create hormones to divide cells, to reproduce cells, to heal. So always eat butter or some fat with the meat. Butter will always stabilize the meat better. But if you want to eat avocado or an oil with it once in a while, that's fine. But always eat some butter with it, at least a tablespoon.
Olive oil and flax
2
oil?
tablespoons for this guy.
Olive oil and flax oil, okay to eat with meat?
Only if it's, you could have 2 tablespoons. Most people should only have a tablespoon per meal, meat meal, if they're going to have oil with it. If you want to have one good, delicious, olive oil sauce or, with one of your meat meals, then you skip the oil for the next 3 or 4 days. Don't have it for those days.
What if
you consumed it all at one time?
What if there's a lot of fat in the meat? Is that good enough, or you still have to have the butter?
If you have a lot of fat in the meat, that will be fine. But most places you can't get good fat these days. They trim it off and throw it away. Boy, do I pig out when I go to Asia. Because they have the fat hanging right there. So I'll just buy ropes of it, eat it. Because I don't get cream there. I get some milk, but I don't get cream there. I take my butter with me. So I eat lots of this fat for my cream in place of the cream. So yes, the meat fat will be fine if you have enough meat fat. There should be a lot. Then if you have your moisturizing lubrication formula as your butter with it, you will be able to put more muscle and more strength into your body. So lubrication formula, moisturizing lubrication formula is better than just having plain butter. Because the moisturizing lubrication formula digests much quicker than just plain butter. When I have people who bodybuild, like people know Lucky, we have a lot of potlucks at his place. When he came to me at 56 years old, he was on the diet 2 years, and he had been real skinny, and I mean he was skinny. And anybody knows what James Stewart looked like before, very skinny. He's 6'3", and he was 140 pounds. That's skinny. So Lucky was the same way. So after 2 years on the diet, he put on about 35, 40 pounds. It's a pretty good weight, not what I want him to put on. And he came to me and he said, I've been skinny all my life. I wanted to be a bodybuilder. Can I bodybuild? I said, well, Lucky, you're only 60. You're not dead. Yeah, have a whole, he's 6'1". So I said, have 2 pounds of meat a day, 1 pound at a time, with a whole lubrication formula with each meat meal. And in 2.5 to 3 months, he put 4 inches on his arms, 6 inches on his chest. Gold's Gym, they accused him of using steroids. And he says, no, I'm just eating eggs and butter and raw meat, and they didn't believe him. But you notice he stopped working out after a year because he was working out so much and not eating properly. He didn't call me and say, I'm getting stiff. Well, I would have changed his diet. But he stopped working out, and you see he's kept all of that muscle. And he stopped working out. It doesn't deteriorate. Because on this diet, everything's stable if you eat the butter with the meat. It will last a long time. It won't dissolve easily. You eat avocado with the meat, it's not going to last as long. If you eat oils with your meat, the protein, the cells are not going to last as long. They will weaken, and your muscles will fall. So I haven't worked out on a workout schedule since 1979. Do I look like I have a problem? Why not? Yeah, but you don't have that kind of a system. You have a woman's system. Trauma.
So what happens to women with all this butter and moisturizing comment? They just, do they get...
Well, it depends upon the woman. Let's save those questions till I get through the diet.
Yeah.
Okay, but write those questions down. So, you have the lubrication moisturizing formula with your meat, you'll be much more stable. Your muscles, your glands, everything. Your cells will be more stable. Then, about 30 minutes after your meat meal is when you have your cheese with your honey. You've already got good digestion going. Your proteins are partially digested. Your fats are partially digested. And if you throw a supplemental concentration of minerals from your cheese, easily digestible, because the honey becomes the enzymes that are missing in the cheese, which prevents it from digesting. So when the honey's with the cheese, it provides the enzymes to digest those minerals. So it's your mineral supplement, your mineral concentration. So you can rebuild your bones, rebalance your nervous system. All kinds of problems can repair with that mineral supplement, the cheese with the honey. Then for the next 2 to 3 hours, sip on milk or the sport formula. Stay away from water. It's a solvent. It just dissolves and leaches all kinds of nutrients out of your body. Salt's the same way. So, then have a milkshake. And there's milkshake recipes in the book, so I won't mention milkshake. It's just egg, milk, a little bit of cream, maybe some coconut cream, and honey. Some people, if they want to speed digestion up a little bit, they can take a little bit of ginger root, put a little bit of grated ginger root in that and blend it. If you have a hormonal problem and you want to get a little stimulated sexually, you could grate just a little bit of nutmeg in it. Then it would be an eggnog at that point. Then let 2 to 3, and if you've got toxicity, and everybody does, always have at least a sugar cube size amount of cheese before everything that I told you to eat at a time. So cheese before your juice, cheese before your eggs or your meat or both. Cheese, and that's when you're having eggs at a particular time. If you're having eggs in between meals, you don't need the cheese with it, but it's always helpful. About 10 minutes before. And then cheese before your milkshake, cheese before your next juice, cheese before your fruit meal, cheese before your vegetable juice again, cheese before your meat meal, cheese before a cup or a half a cup of milk at a time. Always cheese 10 minutes before. Those things will absorb the poisons, so the poisons do not get into your food.
How about the middle of the night meal?
We're going to get to that.
Okay.
Save your rest. Okay, good. So after that second vegetable juice, you have cheese, the vegetable juice. 10 minutes after that, let an hour to an hour and a half pass. You can suck on a little milk or the sport formula if you like, or not. Then have a fruit meal. The fruit meal should always have fat with it, so the sugars don't rush into the body and cause a lot of stickiness in the digestive tract and a lot of problems all over the system. The highs and lows of energy. You'll avoid all of that. Since coconut cream is your best solvent to dissolve toxicity, and your fruit meal is your main detoxification meal, you mainly have coconut cream with a little bit of animal fat. Always have animal fat with your coconut cream at that fruit meal, because you're going to have toxins that need to be arrested that the coconut cream can't bind with. So have a little bit of butter, a tiny bit of butter, and a small amount of dairy cream. And that will protect your nervous system, your liver, and other areas of your body from excessive sugars. It's always best to eat low sugar foods unless you're having cramping or a lot of fatigue in your muscles. Then you could have watermelon, but I don't suggest you have the very heart of the watermelon. Cut an inch core out of that and throw it away. And then you could have a lot of watermelon, but have it with cream and a little bit of coconut cream to get the stiffness and the fatigue out of the muscles. You're building up with lactic acid and the other byproducts of metabolism. That's what causes stiffness. You could use the vinegar in your vegetable juices, 1 or 2 of them, to also relieve that, so you don't have to go for the fruit. Because some people get depressed when they have fruit, because they have a sugar high and a sugar low. Why get depressed? Who wants depression? Who likes depression?
Psychiatrists.
Yeah.
Because they make money from it.
But on this diet, that's only about 10% of the depression that goes on is eating too much fruit, high sugar fruit. 90% of depression comes from a low E. coli count. E. coli is the final stage of digestion. It digests and releases 90% of the B vitamins that are in your food. E. coli eats it, its excrement, its shit is our nutrients. That's how it works. Parasites, the bacteria, eat these foods and digest them for us. Their waste is our nutrients. That's how it works. So if you have a low E. coli bacterial population, colonies in the bowel, you're going to have a tendency toward depression. That's a whole other subject. I can get into that next time. So, after you have your fruit meal, you let 2 to 3 hours pass. Then you can sip on milk, your sport formula, have another piece of cheese, and then 10 minutes later, next vegetable juice, if you're having another vegetable juice. If not, wait an hour and a half, have your second and last meat meal. If you have diabetes, you should break your meat meals into 3 instead of 2. So after your second vegetable juice, you'll have a meat meal and then have your fruit meal. You just lower the amount of meat that you eat at a time. And you shrink the time between eating a little bit by a half an hour all the way throughout the day. After that vegetable juice, you wait an hour and a half, like I said, and you have that cheese again, then the meat meal, your butter or moisturizing lubrication formula with that meat meal. 30 minutes later, you have the cheese with the honey again. Then through the evening, if you feel like you're fat or you're not digesting quickly enough, egg every 30 to 60 minutes. Egg by itself. Do not whip an egg. You just drink it down like Rocky, or you poke a hole in one end and suck it out like I do. Now, that way you don't have to clean a glass every time you're sucking an egg. Then before you go to bed, you need to relax the nervous system, make sure you sleep properly. So a half to a whole cup of milk, a little extra cream in it with a little honey. Warm milk is better for relaxing and sleeping. Put the same amount at your bedside. So when you awaken during the night, you drink it. You do not want to go 5 hours without eating. You can make a milkshake and have half of it before you go to sleep, and half of it during the night if you like. If you're a hyperactive person, don't wake up after 5 hours and drink and eat. You won't go back to sleep. Set your alarm for 3 hours. Wait, then eat. You'll go back to sleep. Very few people have energy after 3 hours sleep. I have it. That's fine, because I only sleep about 3.5 hours a night, sometimes 4 and 5, but most of the time 3.5, 4. So I never sleep. I'm always eating. Always eating. Now you see me sucking on this here and there. I'm always eating. And it regulates the body better. In another 14 years, when I've done my 40 years to get my body completely healthy, I might be like the Fulani, the Samburu and Maasai and the Aborigines and the Eskimos. Well, I can go a day without eating. And if I'm eating my own cells, I won't get toxic. But right now, everybody that eats their own red blood cells are causing anemia and mass toxicity. Okay? There you have it. What time is it?
5:10.
We did it.
We did it.
Yep.
Bravo.
Okay, folks. We'll have one more on the 24th of August. I will be having my potluck at my place in Malibu. I usually have it in September, but I've got so much touring to do in September that I have to do it at the end of August. I'm going to 5 different places. You're going to get emails, so you'll know. Okay, folks, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone. Again, thank our host.
Yeah. What a great setting for this.